easy task. It is no easy feat. But we know what San Fernandians are capable of. We know what we are capable of. All of us who sit here today, all of us who may be listening and viewing us currently right now. And we see that type of real San Fernando. People who live in the community and not just have an address in an empty lot and calling it that's their address so that they could vote in San Fernando West. People who participate in the community through their business, through their profession. We see that in the candidate, John Michael AliBocas. And I commend him and this party and all the candidates for San Fernando City Corporation within this election to you. We are demanding from you that you support us. Because in lieu of that, in exchange of that, you're going back to the very same thing that you had for 3 terms. So you know what you're getting. And that is absolutely nothing. John Michael has told you about his plans for Marabella West. And all of the other candidates have told you about their plans for the entire city of San Fernando. Help us to make that a reality for you, for us all who live in San Fernando. So that come on the evening of August the 14th, real jubilation will hit this city that has been absent for quite a long time. And the proper renaissance for 2023 and beyond will start with that vote and that change beginning here in Marabella West with John Michael AliBocas and all the other candidates that we have in the San Fernando City Corporation. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Sean, for those kind words. Your contribution shows why you are a son of San Fernando and you're beloved in our constituency. The only thing bad I could say about Sean is he went to my second choice school. But other than that, he's a good one. Moving right along to our next speaker. Our next speaker is an attorney at law by profession. She's a firebrand in the Senate. Just this morning, I get to realize how the PNM feels about her in giving aid to flood-affected residents. The mayor of San Fernando came up to us and he said, you know, you're a good one, but you just give you real pressure in the Senate, you know. It's my pleasure to introduce Senator Jayanti Lakshmi-Dayal.
Good evening, everyone. So let me start off first by thanking Mr. Sam for opening up your home to us here this evening. Meetings like this are an important part of our campaign because it's not just about standing here and talking, but we get a chance to meet our activists, to touch base, which is something we do throughout the year. But it's more important at this point in time because we want to really assure people that we are listening and share our plans and to make sure that the message that the UNC is trying to get out there during this campaign period that is reaching maximum population. Sean would have told you that the PNM, they're asking for another chance, and he would have told you that you need to look at what they have given so far. Apart from having 3 terms, 2013, 16, and 19, controlling the San Fernando City Corporation, they have also been in government since 2015, which is going on 8 years. Yesterday, whilst we were walking in this area, you had a lot of rainfall throughout the city of San Fernando, and I think San Fernando took the spotlight in a very negative way, not in a good way, but in a negative way. Because when I left that walk, or when I came back from that walk and I was going home and I got home, but I saw the flood on my way home. And when I got home and I scrolled through my phone, every single news site had videos of flooding all over San Fernando. And I said to myself, after 8 years under the PNM, this is the only thing we have to show. We have to show flooding like we have never had before, because they have been irresponsible with their development for San Fernando. Places like Lady Hales Avenue that for all of my life, I've lived 40 years in the city of San Fernando. I've never seen some of these areas flood, but you're seeing it happening now. And then they'll tell you, They always have an excuse. They will tell you it's climate change. Then they'll tell you, this morning we went down to an area with Councillor Rishi Balram Singh to try to bring some relief. And immediately upon seeing, well, they came with a whole barrage of media as well as their own personal cameramen. But immediately the excuses started, and they started saying that it was because they wanted to build housing on Todd Street and the UNC wouldn't let them, and the UNC opposed it, and it's because the people live on the riverbank. So it's always someone else's fault. Do you want to look forward to 4 more years of a blame game, of blame UNC, blame Kamala, blame the citizens? It's your fault if you are a victim of crime because, you know, you didn't choose your man wisely. It's your fault if you get flooded out because you went and built somewhere that you shouldn't have built. It's your fault because of, you know, everything. The PNM blame citizens, the PNM blame the UNC, they blame the political leader for every single thing, and they take responsibility for nothing. Well, why are they in government? Why are they in government? They used to boast that they are in charge, but I don't know what they are in charge of because they have, they have really given up being in charge, and they blame and find someone else to blame for everything. So my message to them is, look, just go, just give up, because you don't want to take charge and you don't want to take responsibility for anything. So therefore, it is best you just go. When I spoke about the walk yesterday, I don't know how many of you were there. I know I see some faces again of persons who were there, but you would have noticed that this campaign is a little bit different from others in that it's a big show of unity in this country. And when you see unions representing labor, which is really the ground, coming out to align themselves with a political party, you see persons from other political parties willing to join with the UNC for something, well, what we call an accommodation, right? They haven't joined the UNC, but it's an accommodation. You see the return of people, very powerful political forces like Mr. Jack Warner, who was walking here yesterday with your candidate, Mr. John Michael AliBocas. It tells you something. It tells you that this is the start of the wave. And if we continue to build on that wave and we continue to allow that wave to grow and swell throughout this country, it is the beginning of the end of the PNM. And that is what you have to look at this local government campaign as, the beginning of the end for them. People do not tend to pay much attention to local government elections. They think it is less important. As activists, as residents, neighbors, friends, wherever you work, it is important for you to tell them how important this is, and just point to the fact of how many people are coming together. And I'll get back to the fact of the OWTU joining us, because I think it's significant to this area. But it's important to note that when so many people are coming together, how bad the state of the country really is. It is so bad that everybody is willing to put aside the differences and work together to remove this government, because we recognize that that is the root of the problem, and the only solution is to get rid of them. So you have to be the messengers for this wave, for this change that we want to achieve and accomplish, because that's the only way that we will succeed on election day. Elections have, you have your campaigning period, you do all what you have to do, but on election day itself, making sure that the people in your community come out and vote for the change that you want, is your responsibility. And you must, each and every one of us must take responsibility for ensuring that people feel confident in coming out to vote, that they understand the importance in coming out to vote, and that they make the right choice to vote for a candidate who will be the agent of change in your community. When the OWTU was asked about their decision to join with this particular candidate and a few other candidates, particularly in Marabella area, to lend support, what I think we need to be reminded of is that the OWTU suffered betrayal. And by extension, the community of Marabella and the country suffered betrayal at the hands of the PNM. And that has to do with the closure of the Petroleum refinery. When they campaigned in 2020 and asked for a second term, it was, I don't know if you all remember when the Minister of Finance was saying only a PNM government could take a trade union and turn them into business owners. They promised them the refinery and that the refinery would restart. We are here in 2023, no refinery, no jobs, and communities, what we call fence line communities like Marabella, have suffered tremendously. On all of our walkabouts, John Michael has put jobs, particularly jobs for single mothers, at the heart of his campaign. And that's because it's one of the key complaints that we keep getting. It's the joblessness. And you have to understand the cycle, because on a national level, people talk about poverty, they talk about crime. No jobs leads to poverty, leads to an increase in crime. And you have to understand that the economic decisions of this government has led to this joblessness. It has led to the economic decline in particular communities and throughout the country, but particularly communities like this are very much affected, and you see an increase in criminal activity. So you can't say that you're going to tackle crime with a $3 million symposium, but at the same time you're doing nothing to bring the jobs back to these communities which have suffered as a result of your poor decisions. And that's what this government is trying to do. And that's what we have to make sure people understand, how they have created this situation and how they have put forward absolutely no plans to solve it. What is their campaign about? You know, when somebody is campaigning on the future, it's because they have no record in the past to speak on. So they have absolutely zero accomplishments to campaign on. They cannot point to a single accomplishment in the 9 years that they've been in charge of the San Fernando City Corporation. They cannot point to a single thing that they have delivered to the people of San Fernando. So they are campaigning on reform, campaign reform. Reform is something that was passed a year ago, and to date they have implemented absolutely nothing. So are you going to fall for another promise? Are you going to fall for and vote for something in the future promised by someone who has an abysmal record of delivery in the past? Because having been in government for so long and being in charge of the San Fernando City Corporation for such a long time and having delivered nothing, do you really believe that this reform will deliver something to you? They, in 2020, again, for general elections, they campaigned entirely on the San Fernando waterfront project. This is a project that was approved and conceptualized since 2017. We are in 2013. What is the waterfront? The waterfront is now because some of the roads that they have widened and the roundabout that they have built, it floods so quickly now. 5 minutes of rain, you have flood on that roundabout. So I don't know if that's the idea of a waterfront is bringing the water closer to you, because you now have flooding all along where we never had flooding before on Lady Hales Avenue, going down by the Panya, the cemetery, all up there. It floods so quickly now. It's crazy. They're really not delivering any tangible benefits to the people of San Fernando. So they're going to talk to you about, we bring in local government reform. And what is local government reform? And what are they telling you? They're saying that they come in to collect property tax from you so that they could now deliver goods and services which you should have been getting all along, but which they have failed to deliver. So you want your potholes in your road patched? Pay your property tax. You want your garbage collection to be more efficient? Pay property tax. Taxes and new taxes, particularly being introduced at a time like this, is really something that can just further push those who are not well off and the lower level income earners down into even greater levels of poverty. And I don't understand the logic behind doing something like that. We are, and as a San Fernandian, I could tell you, we are in a state right now where a lot of people they have assets, but they don't have income. Because, for example, if you drive around San Fernando, you will see how many empty buildings with for rent signs on them, right? All of those buildings are going to be taxed. And the property owners who might be paying a mortgage because they invested in a property which they intended to rent and so on, they aren't earning any income because businesses have closed down. So you might see something like, well, we call it, just a building where you would rent a number of stores and so on. And how many of those businesses closed during the COVID period, never to be reopened again? So the income to the owner of that building is reduced. But that doesn't matter. He still has to pay property tax just like if the building was full. There's some allowance they talk about for negative periods and all that, but the fact of the matter is it is a new tax being imposed on him. The building may not have been rented for over a year or maybe 2 years. Because businesses close, people are not renting, there's a total suppression of economic activity in the city of San Fernando. You still have to pay your property tax. Our pensioners, they say they go into, you could make an application and so on. Have you ever tried to get an exemption, an application, or to do something with the government? It's easy for them to get exemption to spend money and do things, but for you to have to go through the bureaucracy and the rigmarole to get an exemption, and they say that is what will cater for the pensioners. But why is it that persons who have invested their lives, their gratuity, some people, now they are living on a pension, and they made their houses, comfortable to live out their old age, they are now going to be faced with a tax which will be calculated based on what they call rental value. So the nicer you have made your home, the more comfortable you have made your home to live in your retirement and to live in your old age, is the more tax you are going to have to pay as an elderly person. Is that fair? Is it fair to the people of San Fernando? I think Sarah will spend some more time getting to the legal issues surrounding that property tax, because it is a farce. If you understand and you analyze it and how they are tying it to this local government reform, and I will let him explain it to you, because it really is. It's a scheme. What they are telling you about all the benefits of this property tax to come into local government, it's really not true. And we have to break it down and allow people to understand it. And again, I say, you must be the messengers who must take it out there and tell people, look, all this talk about we're going to get local government reform and local government is going to be so great and it's going to deliver so much to us. Well, why haven't they delivered in the last year? That's the first question. And secondly, dig deeper into this local government reform and understand what it means for you as an ordinary, hard-working citizen trying to make ends meet like everybody else, right? You are not a person that's sitting down and collecting a salary and getting government contracts and all of that. Like, you see what is happening with them right now and spending money with no oversight. That's not you. You are the average, hardworking, middle-class citizen of this country. And the middle class of this country, Marabella used to be at one point in time considered to be like the heart of middle-class San Fernando. And it has truly been, the middle class in San Fernando has truly been destroyed by the economic policies of this government. And it will continue to happen unless we put a stop to it. So the first step is on August the 14th. You have a candidate who is well versed with the issues in this area. He has spent a lot of time in this area. He is also, beyond the boundaries of Marabella West. I think he knows the city of San Fernando and the issues quite well. I have known him since he was about 11 years old. Going to high school, starting high school, his family is well rooted, as I said. As Sean said, people who participate in the life of San Fernando, sometimes when they make changes to traffic restrictions, and then I say in my mind, I say, it had to be somebody not living in San Fernando who sit down and come up with these ideas. And that's what you have really in San Fernando happening right now. You have at the level of central government somebody who should be representing San Fernando who doesn't know San Fernando, who doesn't live in San Fernando, who only comes down here with blue lights and siren, touchdown like he did this morning. We were trying to get into a street this morning where people were flooded out. I'm talking about mattress, stove, fridge, washer, dryer, clothes, school books, everything washed away in the flood. Somebody's entire water tank, went down into the river this morning. And the amount of police that was parked up inside of there. Why? Because the mayor and the MP come in. And that blocked up the entire street. And we there trying to get bleach and broom and mop and supplies to these people, Councillor Balram Singh and myself and Dirk. And, and that's the San Fernando that they know, and that's the San Fernando that they live in. But you know that that's not the reality. And John Michael knows that that is not the reality. And